Okay, it is now 5:01 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5, Section 551.041 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice was given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville would conduct a regular meeting on Tuesday, April 6, 2021, at 5 p.m. via the WebEx teleconference meeting link provided on the City of Brownsville Agenda Center. The notice and meeting agenda are posted on the Agenda Center. The members of the public wishing to participate in the meeting hosted through WebEx can join by phone by calling the numbers provided on the agenda. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Public Meetings Act. So let me just do a quick roll call. I have Commissioner Cowan. I have Commissioner Galansky present. Do you see her on here?
Commissioner Galansky, are you here?
She was, I just don't see her on here.
No, I'm here. Why?
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
I see Commissioner Gowan. I don't see Commissioner Tetro.
Here.
Okay,
Here.
okay. And Commissioner Neese, are you present? Okay, and I don't see Commissioner Munguia.
And I am here, in case you're wondering.
Yes, sir, I see you. Okay, so it is 5:03 PM, Mayor, and you may call the meeting to order.
All right, thank you, Lori. I will now call the meeting to order. Let's proceed. I just ask that anybody who is participating in the meeting, please mute your microphone unless you're speaking, please. It'll help us all out a lot. Thank you.
Okay, we have the invocation next by Pastor Brad Burks.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for the rain that we had recently and the many other blessings that we have here in the city of Brownsville, including the beautiful weather that we've become so accustomed to. Once again, Lord, we ask you to heal those who need healing, to comfort those that have lost loved ones during this time. And Lord God, for our nation, we ask you to bring truth. Bring the kind of truth that will be obvious to everyone, from Washington, D.C. to Austin to right here in Brownsville and around the country. And Lord, we ask that you be glorified through it. For this meeting here today, we ask you to bless our Mayor Trey Mendez and every city commissioner and everyone that presents anything, again, for the best for the city of Brownsville. And we ask all of these things in your precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen. And now we'll have a short moment of silence where we can all add our prayers to what has already been spoken. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Our next item is proclamations. We have a proclamation recognizing Mr. Jesus Alonso, Brownsville Metro Transit Operator, for his heroism and bravery in protecting the lives of the citizens of Brownsville. Mayor, would you like to read the proclamation?
Sure, thank you. Do we have Mr. Alonso here? Okay, is he there with you?
He's here with me.
All right, great. Thank you. Mr. Alonso, thank you for being here. So this is a proclamation of the Mayor of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing Jesus Alonso for heroism and bravery. Whereas on March 27, 2021, an incident happened on Brownsville Metro Route 5, Alton-Glure, where an individual forcefully entered the bus by breaking through a glass door while the bus was located at a traffic light. And whereas the individual went to the back of the bus, demanded the bus move, and then started to physically assault a female passenger and her daughter. And whereas Mr. Jesus Alonso, Brownsville Metro Transit Operator, a city employee of 11 years and 9 months, intervened and protected the passenger. And whereas Mr. Jesus Alonso held the individual down until Brownsville Police Department was able to arrive and enter the bus. And whereas Mr. Jesus Alonso went beyond the duty and put his life in danger to save the passengers on board. Whereas Mr. Jesus Alonso put the lives of the citizens above his own when acting to protect the passengers on the bus. Whereas the city of Brownsville and Brownsville Metro is grateful to Mr. Jesus Alonso for his heroism and bravery protecting the lives of the citizens of Brownsville. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor of the city of Brownsville that due to the heroic actions and bravery of Mr. Jesus Alonso, Tuesday, April 6, 2021, is designated as Jesus Alonso Day in the city of Brownsville. All citizens are urged to show their overwhelming gratitude and appreciation for Mr. Jesus Alonso. All citizens are urged to show, on behalf of a grateful city, we say thank you. Additionally, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of Brownsville, and on behalf of all of our citizens, we humbly ask residents to join in showing appreciation to Mr. Jesus Alonso, done on this 6th day of April 2021 by myself as mayor and the rest of the city commission. Mr. Alonso, thank you so much for your heroism, your bravery, and thank you for protecting your fellow citizens of the city of Brownsville. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Mayor, we're proud to have these type of employees here with us. And so we also gave created a little plaque for him that went above and beyond award. And so this would be to him. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alonso.
Thanks. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay.
Okay, our next item is presentations. The presentation is Boca Chica Project Update by Texas Department of Transportation.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commission. This is Joel Garza, Multimodal Transportation Director. We invited the Texas Department of Transportation to provide a quick update on the Boca Chica project. I believe the area engineer is on.
Do we have somebody here who's going to present the item?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Carlos Ceballos. I'm a project manager for this project, the SH48 Boca Chica project. I'm with the Texas San Benito area office, and I'll be providing you with the update of the Boca Chica project. So here's some project general information. This is the SH48 Boca Chica Boulevard raised median project. The scope of the work is for construction of the raised median and the bridge class culvert crossing. I'll be discussing this in more detail in the next few slides. We'll be constructing sidewalks, driveways, roadway widening, and a final overlay with signing and striping. The limits of the project are from I-69 from the expressway to SH4 to Four Corners, and the total project length is about 1.5 miles. Contractor is Texas Cordia Construction. The original contract amount is about $3.4 million, and the revised amount with the additional work is about $4.7 million. We're about 56% complete with the project, and the estimated completion date is the end of August of 2021 of this year. Next slide, please. Yes, so as you can see, here's the limit to the project from the expressway to Four Corners to SH4, and we have the culvert crossing here, culvert crossing work that I'll be discussing later at right next to the Strawberry Square intersection. Slide, please. As you can see in this picture, we have this is looking east from the expressway. We have already constructed the median pretty much from the expressway all the way to Old Port Isabel. We have the regular wide median and the 2-foot section, median section. As you can see here, one of the items that the city had requested from Texas was to extend this median to allow the pedestrians to safely cross this intersection to access the walking trails. And you can see from this picture that has already been constructed there at I-69 station. As you might also see here, on the previous signal, or in this, remove the traffic signal at Simpson Street, the one right in front of HEB. So that has already been constructed, and we have a 2-foot median section going right through. And this picture, we can see the construction of the median. We have a couple of areas there where we have an open area where we'll be placing our landscaping. We have traffic going 2 lanes in each direction. As you might see in this picture, we have constructed all the sidewalk and driveways on the north and the south side. I know this was also one of the concerns that the city had brought up to us about filling in the gaps of the sidewalks, and this has been done pretty much for the entire limits of the project. Picture, please. So at this intersection here, we're looking at the Strawberry Square intersection. You're probably thinking that probably doesn't look as nice as the picture. You know, and you probably notice there's a lot of traffic in this area. A lot of the drums have been knocked down, and something ongoing that we meet with the contractor on a daily basis, make sure that all the drums are in place and that they're aligned and that they're not confusing to the public. I understand this has been a challenge for the public, for the drivers, and they get impatient and they want to make left turns. And actually, left turns are only allowed in the signalized intersections. The median, if you look at this picture, the middle section is actually considered the work zone. So I know that you might have noticed some one-way signs at some of the intersections, unsignalized intersections. And this is actually the way that it's going to be once the project is completed and we have the median throughout the whole section. You're only going to be able to make right turns and not turns, right? So I know at this intersection we had also received some comments from the city about adding some pedestrian elements. And you might be able to see from that picture, we have a couple of pedestrian poles. We'll be adding an actual crossing there, a crosswalk, and we're trying to accommodate wider sidewalks up to the right of way, also to allow for a future walking trail by the city. You're probably also wondering why we have not constructed this median section from Old Port Isabel all the way to Kings Highway to Security Drive, and we have not done that work because we're actually going to construct a bridge box culvert crossing just east of this area, right next to this section that crosses that Brownsville channel. This actual bridge culvert was scheduled to be constructed next year as a separate project, but we had the opportunity to include this work on this project, and we decided that would be the best idea or a good idea in order to avoid disrupting traffic in the future. So that's what we're doing now. And if you have driven to the project yesterday or today, you probably noticed that we have modified the traffic control in this area. It doesn't look like the picture, and because we're going to begin this work at this, and I'll describe in more detail in the next few slides. If you could please forward to the next. So you will see in this area we have right next to that channel, right next to Strawberry Square, we have those existing box culverts. So we're going to remove those box culverts, the 3 box culverts, and we're going to install 3 new 10x7 bridge class culverts, bridge box culverts. So that's what the traffic control that we have right now in place is to construct this. You could please forward to the next. So this is an aerial view of that picture, and actually I was looking at in more detail. And if you look at the area, it's a Strawberry Square intersection, and we have the culvert crossing going across the road. And this is from an old schematic where I guess the original plans were to remove that signal. But the signal is not going to be removed. It's going to be in place. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have that crossing. Pedestrians are going to be able to cross from one side, from the north to the south, south to the north, where the culvert crossing is going to be. So on this next picture, we have a typical section of the actual traffic control setup that we have right now. If you notice, we'll be constructing the box culverts on the north side, and then we'll have traffic reduced down to 1 lane in each direction on the south side. And then once we do the north side, we'll shift traffic to the north and construct the south side of the crossing. As you see, this is an actual layout of the traffic control. You could see there on the hatch, you'll see that we have the boxes on the north side. Contractors actually setting up the traffic control plan. You can see the one lane is in each direction. We have message boards, arrow boards, in order to alert the traveling public. We're pending to install there's a low profile concrete barrier at the construction area. And once we have this in place, once we have the traffic control in place, we're going to begin to remove the existing boxes. We begin to remove the existing boxes. We'll probably be either late tomorrow or Thursday. We'll begin with the actual installation of the boxes. And the contractor, as we speak right now, they're receiving material, and they'll start to receive the boxes starting tomorrow. So this work, you're probably wondering, this work is going to take about 8 weeks. That's approximately 4 weeks for the north side and approximately 4 weeks for the south side. So, and as I mentioned before, traffic will be reduced to one lane. You're probably wondering why reduce traffic to one lane, but we're trying to take advantage of constructing as much as we can in order to expedite the work. But we're trying to increase the construction area to finish the work as soon as possible, because we understand it's a big interruption of the traffic. So on this picture, as you can see, this is looking west to Security Drive, and this is between Security Drive and SH4, and this area, this is actually where the traffic signal to the Home Depot, to the Canes area. This is where that traffic signal was at. That traffic signal was removed. I know, as per the plans, I know that that's one of the concerns from the city, and this was removed in order to allow for the storage of the left turn lanes at Security Drive and at SH4. As you can see, that picture, we have the area to store traffic for the left turn at Security, and also we start that left turn, that storage area for the left turn at SH4. And this traffic signal was necessary, due to being in the middle of two other signalized intersections. Picture. And this one you can see looking east, this is the intersection of SH4. We have the existing concrete pavement. We have the 2-foot median section. As you can see, this is pretty much going to be the left turn lane for SH4. And this is, if you notice this area, this is the only area in the project where we don't have sidewalks. And this is because we don't have right-of-way. There's no right-of-way to construct the sidewalks. I know TxDOT is looking into 2 new projects in this area, one from SH4 to the airport, another one from SH4 to the port of Brownsville. So TxDOT is looking into adding sidewalks on projects in this area at SH4. But the rest of, like I mentioned earlier, the rest of the project does have the sidewalks. I think that's all we have for our update. I know you all might have some questions or some comments.
Mr. Ceballos, thank you so much for the presentation. I know we've gotten some concerns from citizens on this and some questions just about the project itself. So I appreciate you coming by and letting us know the status of it and the timeline going forward, as well as showing us photographs of what's happening. Does anybody else have anything to add?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. So I think I drove it today, or most of it, not the whole way. And it was annoying that I couldn't turn in places that I was used to turning in. But I did also notice that the traffic was moving much more quickly, and that was a pleasant surprise. The other comment I have is that I ride my bike every Sunday and many other days as well. And the Battlefield Trail crosses there at Boca Chica, and I have gotten lots and lots of comments from folks thanking you and the city for extending that median so that there's a refuge for walkers, joggers, and bicyclists at Boca Chica, because that was really the most precarious crossing of the Battlefield Trail. The negative is that I don't think your workers are taking much care on the north side of that crossing, blocking the entrance to the trail, right there behind what used to be the Starbucks, but now is, I think, a phone store. For example, this Sunday and other Sundays, there are big orange and white cones, the big ones, the barrels, that seem to be holding down some kind of a blue hose across the entrance onto the trail there. And this weekend, there were small cones as well. So it literally was a blockade of that trail opening. And so my husband and myself and two other people who we didn't know but were coming behind us were all bunched up on the street, trying to make our way around those cones to get onto the trail there with traffic coming. So even though the refuge made us safer, your folks are not taking care to keep the opening to the trail open. So if you could please talk to them about that, that would be great. I'd hate to see an accident there with a pedestrian or a bicyclist.
Yes, definitely. We will address that. We will look into that and we will address that as soon as possible. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the comments.
And I just want to add that I have received many, many, many complaints and concerns from constituents. Sorry, I have a 5-year-old in my office. But I've received many complaints and concerns from constituents. And I will say that TxDOT has been amazing. It's a phone call away. I've called several times and I was very impressed this last time. It was very windy and there were barrels all over the road. I made a phone call and within 30 minutes, everything had been picked up, all the broken glass that had been there. There have been a lot of accidents and Austin, there have been a lot of accidents, but without TxDOT was very, very quick to handle those situations. And I would just ask that you all are on top of it and work as fast as possible because we are facing hurricane season coming up very quickly on us. And that construction needs to be done. It's a main thoroughfare and evacuation route for many, many people. And that's my 2 cents. Just work as fast as possible and supervise. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We're trying our best to complete the project as soon as possible. We understand, the traffic and the concerns, and we're working on it.
But I really do appreciate you all handled it so quickly, and I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any other comments or questions?
Does anyone else wish to make any comments? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too, thanks.
Okay, Mayor, we'll move on to the public comment period. I just wanted to note that I will be announcing all of the comment forms that we received by the 4 p.m. deadline.
Very good. Thank you.
Our first public comment form was received by Nancy Guevara. Nancy, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Nancy. Welcome. Go ahead and you'll have 3 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, can folks hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, my name is Nancy Guevara. I grew up in Laredo and have lived in Brownsville for 6 years. I am speaking today because I feel sad, I feel frustrated, and most of all, I feel concerned for the livelihood of the working people of Brownsville. It seems apparent that we're seeing things very differently. What I observe is a classic tale of colonization, one in which a billionaire feels entitled to land, claiming that there is nothing there. I personally do not feel swayed by SpaceX or Elon Musk. It seems that when folks see charity and donation, I see a bribe. I ask myself if local city leadership are following any national conversations on race, taxing the rich, building social infrastructure, reparations, native stewardship of the land, land recognition, and history of colonization. I wish you would get swayed by the ideas and intergenerational knowledge and wisdom of the community. You want to better the quality of life in Brownsville, invest in community, invest in programs, and folks creating their own jobs. A few weeks ago, Musk tweeted calling on people to move to Starbase to fulfill SpaceX hiring needs. This assumes he won't be finding the labor he needs in Brownsville to fill the so-called jobs he is creating. The community will no longer accept they are bringing jobs. We need numbers, we need facts. We will not accept further expansion of SpaceX or the privatization of Boca Chica Beach. We will not accept SpaceX restricting access to a natural park and beach. Our people deserve to have access to nature and sacred spaces. 30 million is not enough. It is pocket money. It is comparable to a $5 donation if you make $45,000 a year. When I think of entrepreneurship, I think of migrants. You say risk is needed to start a business. Risk is also needed to cross a border. Migrants have, for many generations, been creating their own jobs here. I would like to see the working people of Brownsville be able to create their own dream job where they are not exploited or thought of as low skill. I wish you would be swayed by the folks in this community, amazing people who keep working hard to sustain their families. You think deficitly of the low-income community, you say it in your actions and policy. Ask yourselves why a billionaire deserves 10 years of tax breaks amidst a global pandemic and 4 years of oppression against border people and migrants. Those tax breaks don't trickle down. We will not accept gentrification of downtown Brownsville. We will not accept the displacement of the majority of low-income people in downtown Brownsville. I am tired. We are tired. We need the government to work for the people, not for large.
That's time, Mayor.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, our next public comment form was received by Juan Trevino. Juan, are you present?
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Mr. Trevino, welcome, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I actually go by Xander Trevino. I'm a lifelong resident of Brownsville, Texas, District 4. Teenage me was ready to grow up and move somewhere else because they didn't think there was anything to do here. But in the last 8 years, I've met so many people who dedicate their time to improve the communities they live in by listening to the needs of those around them and thinking of solutions. And it is because of them that I got to see how much we can do for others here, so I'm here to stay. That said, I do not agree with leadership's decision to support Elon Musk and SpaceX's colonization of Boca Chica Village and privatization of Boca Chica Beach, setting aside $1.3 million for a project that is disrupting the lives of our neighbors, aiming to occupy more of the sacred land that the local indigenous Carrizo Comecrudo tribe has worked to protect for generations, and is endangering the wildlife and environment with pollution from explosions and noise. And I was disappointed to see that some of our leaders and city organizations have publicly praised Elon Musk online in recent weeks. A man who basically called a rescue worker a pedo guy in 2018, tweeted false information about his business in 2019, and who was recently ordered to delete an anti-union tweet from 2018 and allow his workers to speak with the media about working conditions without explicit written consent from Tesla. Furthermore, Musk has shown his lack of care for the people here, something that was reported on KRGB back in February 8th of 2018. The headline, SpaceX founders' comments sparked frustration for Boca Chica Village residents. And I quote, "When asked how soon flights would be going to the moon or Mars, Musk talked about the necessary test flights that would need to take place first. Most likely it's going to happen at our Brownsville location, because we've got a lot of land with nobody around, and so if it blows up, it's cool," he replied. Now, it's possible that maybe Brownsville is in a position where leadership feels it needs to ignore all of this and jump on Musk's rocket, thinking we're going to play a role in getting us to Mars. But all we will be doing is contributing to the destruction of our own planet. If we want to see society move forward, we can do that ourselves, working together for everyone in Brownsville. Reach out to local change makers, check out the events they organize, be in the community and listen to the experiences and ideas of those who are ready to share them. You could even set up a town hall so that those who have researched the ecological and economic effects of this project on our area can present their findings, and local residents can have the opportunity to speak on this issue. Also, make sure to include a Spanish and sign language translator so everybody can understand and be involved in what is happening. I honestly don't know why these translators aren't even at these meetings. Seeing our community engaged in its future will be a lot more satisfying than watching the lights roll in on a selfie next to an electric car or watching Boca Chica get littered with debris from the next exploding rocket. Thank you.
Xandra, thank you so much for commenting.
Our next public comment form was received from Zach Borja. Zach, are you present?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, Zach. You have 3 minutes. Thanks.
Gotcha. I am here today to demand that every single one of you who has an extremely unique position gifted to you by the citizens of Brownsville to make immediate sustainable change in the lives of our townspeople by starting the planning or taking immediate action to combat the imminent threat of gentrification in our city based off of the actions of Elon Musk. There have been multiple testimonies from Brownsville residents stating that they have tried countless times over and over to acquire these jobs, these opportunities that SpaceX, like Elon Musk, has proposed, and have either gotten no response or have been flat out rejected, even though they are extremely and highly qualified. Elon Musk has lied to Valley residents and has sent out messages to his millions and millions of followers, essentially saying that he will no longer or not hire Valley residents and outsource the needed labor to others in affluent communities. Elon Musk has made a very public outcry on his Twitter to his millions of followers and hundreds of millions of people who cling to his every word that Brownsville is a place to move because of its cheap opportunities and its cheap housing. At this point, the message has been sent and the masses understand that Brownsville is an extremely affordable place to live and that moving here for SpaceX is a wonderfully great decision. The incoming population of more affluent residents and people of privilege will lead to resource allocations to schools, stores, and other developments in low-income neighborhoods. While these effects can be seen as beneficial on the surface, they will only benefit the wealthy gentrifiers who push people out of their homes and communities. The gentrification process will essentially become detrimental when it forces the original residents of Brownsville to leave their neighborhoods through exponentially increasing property prices, rent, and buyouts. Most gentrification occurs because there are lack of policies that value community input from LGBTQ folks, Latinx folks, Black folks, and low-income working class residents. These policies offer equitable reasoning policies and provide intentional housing options. Without these policies that attempt to remedy the trends that cause forced displacement of these people, gentrification will continue to dismantle and displace lower income and working communities in our town. Community stabilization policies need to be enacted to ensure that vulnerable residents and business owners are not pushed out of their neighborhoods. An important part of the vision of an affordable, equitable, and sustainable Brownsville is the input and the valuing of historically marginalized people such as Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and LGBTQ people. Poor and working class communities need to be valued in our city, and we need you, our city leaders, to listen to our input and need to create sustainable change in our town. Essentially, at the end of the day, Elon Musk is going to bring gentrification. His tweets have been sent out, the message has been sent, and affluent.
That's time, Mayor.
Thank you, James. Mr. Borja, thank you.
Our next public comment form was received from Victoria Guerrero. Victoria, are you present? Victoria Guerrero, are you present?
Okay, next.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. The next form was received from Yamil Sandoval.
I believe. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hello, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Yamile Sandoval Sarkis. I am a Brownsville native, born and raised. Next month, I will be a graduate from Pomona College, a small liberal arts college in Southern California with a bachelor's in politics and minors in biology and Spanish. No thanks to the pandemic, though, I have been here since last March due to remote instruction, which has given me the unique opportunity to reconnect with my town, which has been an interesting experience, to say the least. I felt very similar to what Zandra had mentioned about wanting to leave town as a teenager. Now things are a bit different. My perspective has changed. However, my frustration with a lot of the issues that Brownsville has continued to face over the years has not. I am in agreement with a lot of the people that things in Brownsville need to change. Like, there needs to be more opportunity for people. We are like one of the poorest counties in the country, and I think we can all recognize like the plethora of issues. Like, I don't need to go into depth, but
whatever Elon Musk wants to do, that is not progress. That is not going to make things better for any of the people that actually live here. As other people have mentioned, he doesn't want to create jobs for the people that are already here. He wants to bring in tech bros that worship his tweets to come in and work at his failed rocket launches that all they serve to do is to further contaminate and destroy our wetlands, which are already so precious. Have you ever been to the beach in Corpus? How contaminated and dirty it is because of like the local fossil fuel industry that Texas just worships. Like, we have such a precious thing down here because we haven't experienced the same level of habitat destruction. It also allows for tourism and SPI for those of y'all that care about money. Like, but we're not protecting that. SpaceX is just gonna come in and destroy that. It's gonna, like, they want other outsiders to move in. What is that gonna cause? Gentrification, raising of rent prices, raising of everything. What's gonna happen to the people here that are not gonna be employed by SpaceX? Their wages are not gonna go up because I don't think you guys are gonna increase the minimum wage for anybody, right? What are they gonna do? Like, taxes are gonna go up, people's rent's gonna go up, and they're not gonna be earning anymore. Are we gonna be kicked out of Brownsville? It's such a unique culture that we have here, and for better or for worse, like, we can't let Elon Musk come and destroy that. He can't just come and buy us with $30 million so that we're his playground. Like, we're not nothing. We're the people of Brownsville, and we can't just let him take y'all with like the mordidas he wants to give you. And isn't it just embarrassing? Like, Mayor Trey Mendez said, oh, it's certainly exciting to hear about Elon Musk's proposed donation to the city, with the tweet screenshot of Elon Musk. Like, that's how he told you guys about that? Like, there's no communication with the city. It's frustrating, it's humiliating, and you guys can't allow that to happen with Elon Musk. And
That's time, Mayor.
Okay, Mayor, our next public comment form was received from Christopher Sandoval.
I'm here. All right, are y'all ready? Okay, so Elon Musk and the other richest people in the world do not pay their taxes where they live. According to multiple reports, and Brownsville, Cameron County would fall into the same trap of
Internet that works, bro.
a rich man only to see nothing given back. That is trickle-down economics, a myth going back to the Reagan years. SpaceX expansions would cause a gentrifying effect to research, and according to research, that would end up segregating the city into classes based on how low or high income those people are. Elon Musk is recorded as being against the 40-hour work week and 400+ hour work weeks for his employees. Now, that is horrible. He is describing building an employee village that has been described in the North as causing violence to women and communities to come in, and it is going to be continuing in Brownsville. That would be putting women and children of the Rio Grande Valley in danger. The ecological cost of SpaceX is well documented. SpaceX is dangerous and incompetent. In less than 3 years, there have been 3 rocket explosions in the area, spilling heavy metals, petrochemicals, rocket fuel into the surrounding ecosystems. These contaminants can kill wildlife at low concentrations, and they threaten the long-term survival of endangered species such as the ocelot, the aplomado falcon, and the Boca Chica flea beetle. Even now, people are scrambling to pick up rocket pieces that are so large they must be moved with heavy machines from Boca Chica State Park, Lower Rio Grande National Wildlife Refuge, and the ecologically sensitive tidal flats, dunes, and lagunas. Elon Musk is on the record as trying to develop natural gas wells at the SpaceX refinery and the refinery there as well, even without ecological impact statements as federal law requires. These constructions would harm the environment even further, and the county didn't even give residents a say in that giveaway when Cameron County Judge Carlos Cascos finalized the deal with SpaceX for a 10-year tax break without even consulting people until after it was signed. The $10 million donation he offered on downtown revitalization through Twitter isn't even going to help locals besides people who already own businesses downtown, such as Mayor Trey Methods. Brownsville has people who are houseless, people who are hungry, and people who are on the brink of being both right now. It should not be racing to give more of its tax dollars away to rich and powerful businesses who don't actually contribute to the equality of life of residents. Musk has repeatedly scammed cities with rushed and hyped projects such as the Boring Company Tunnel, which cost millions of dollars and amounts to an expensive 40-mile-an-hour ride for 2 people at a time, what was supposed to be a mass transit system connecting San Francisco and LA. The amount of launches necessary to fulfill Elon's plan of Starlink would block out Boca Chica for months or years at a time. And the internet it provides wouldn't even be on par with DSL. It would be much better for the rural residents of the valley to receive county-funded fiber internet. And Elon hasn't even said anything about the Tesla factory that was supposed to be moved to the valley last year. But he's not going to follow up on it because his projects and history show that Elon's word doesn't mean anything, and he'll fold on his word.
That's time, Mayor.
Thanks, James. Thank you, Mr. Sandoval.
Mayor, our next public comment form was from Angela Garcia. Angela, are you present?
Lori, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see Angela Garcia. So
Okay.
our next public comment form was received from Emma Guevara. Emma, are you present? Okay, sir. So I guess since Emma's not present, we can move on to Josette Hinojosa. Josette, are you present?
Okay, next person.
Yeah,
Okay, there you go. Josette, go ahead.
yeah,
Welcome.
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
welcome.
here.
We
I'm
can hear
here.
you.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go
Hi.
ahead.
All right, cool. Let me know when my 3 minutes starts. So, are my 3 minutes starting now?
Go ahead.
Yes?
Yes, you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So, oh,
Josette, you're muted.
I'm not sure if she's muted or she just has a bad connection. Yeah, we
I
couldn't
show
hear.
her as muted, sir. I just sent a request for her to unmute. Ms. Hinojosa, if you can unmute, please, ma'am.
Okay, is there someone after Lori? We can try and come back to her.
Okay, yes, sir. The last one was from Yasmin Santibanez.
Okay, Santibanez? Yasmin, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Welcome. You'll have 3 minutes. Yasmin, go ahead.
Okay, my name for the record is Jasmine. Hello, my name is Jasmine Santibáñez Contreras. I am a lifelong resident of the area. I've spent endless of hours on the beach admiring birds and against the soft sand. The rich wildlife both on the land and sea. More about myself, my first job while still in high school was as a lifeguard on the island. Now I am a member of the American Medical Association. As the years pass, I have grown to be fond of nature and the beauty that Boca Chica Beach will offer and the Delta. As I built countless of memories on the beach with friends and loved ones, I cannot help to notice the changes from once a pure, rich land now being replaced with buildings, chemicals, and exploding rockets. I attended the University of Rio Grande Valley. I earned a bachelor's degree in biomedicine, health, and science. I studied the basic building requirements for a healthy life. Among the selected elite group of independent scientists, I closely observed and studied infectious diseases, cancer, and Alzheimer's, focusing on disparities and environmental factors linked to the onset of these diseases. In these studies, I found underlying factors related to a range of complexities to a declining of health. A recurring factor was environmental pollution. Multiple studies have correlated pollution to DNA disruption. While we which can lead to unpredicted breathing issues, cancers in the blood, also known as leukemia, lower fertility rates, and much more. With continuous explosion and hazardous chemicals blowing up, it is evident of the disruption in the wildlife that SpaceX is causing since settling on a national wildlife refuge. It is clear of the damage and the negative impact to the fragile wetlands and the surrounding ecosystems enduring with each blast and further expansion. Yet more extensive research is needed to fully calculate the extended effects of these explosions. When this land was once free from harm and free from SpaceX, thousands of defenseless birds that once found our coast a sanctuary are now being disrupted. In the Texas, public access to the Gulf Coast access is not just a law, it's a constitutional right under the Texas Open Beach Act. With all the aforementioned, I believe SpaceX is a clear example of environmental racism. Settling in one of the poorest counties in the nation, cuts deals to not pay taxes for the first 10 years, causing negative damage to the land, air, and water, on top of native graves, and blocks off access to the locals. And I know it has caused a lot of anger and resentment. I know what racism.
That's time, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Lori, do we want to try Ms. Hinojosa again?
Okay, yes, Josette Hinojosa, are you still with us? I'm trying to see. I don't see her on here anymore, Mayor.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
No, sir. That was the last one.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. And thank you, everybody who spoke up. Thanks.
I have a concluding statement. In our current time, we need to be anti-racist in all forms.
Mr. Mayor, I think she exceeded the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, I had the timer on too. Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, we can move on to consent agenda items 1 through 9.
Okay, do we have any motion on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
City Secretary, is there a way that you can actually show on the screen the list of the consent agenda items? Because I think it's just, we should be showing at least what we're voting on in the future. Not right now.
Yes, ma'am. In the future, we can provide a list of those on a PowerPoint slide. It may be small, but we can list it on a PowerPoint slide.
Just for transparency. Thank you.
It's on the agenda, but yeah, I don't see an issue with that.
For the public. Yeah.
I have access to the agenda too, but yeah, I get it. I don't see an issue.
Okay, Mayor, we can move on to public hearings. Item 1, public hearing and action regarding city towing rotation list application by Antonio Murayra, A&S Recovery pursuant to Chapter 110-63 of the City of Brownsville Code of Ordinance, Police Department.
Can you go to slide number
Hello?
2? Can you go to slide number 2?
Oh, hi. I was trying to submit my comment and I couldn't unmute myself. This is Josette Hinojosa. I was trying to give my 3 minutes and y'all just kind of moved on. I don't know what's going on with your website, but I was unable to and you guys kept cutting out. So can I have my 3 minutes before?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's go ahead, but it wasn't an issue with our connection. It was actually yours, but yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's another thing that maybe we should consider. Okay. So just like a tree planted by the waters, I shall not be moved. Our people shall not be moved. Our roots are firmly planted here and have been for generations. This idea to remedy Brownsville's economic woes through real estate, aka gentrification, is absolutely insulting to our people. In my neighborhood, there are older folks who wouldn't be able to survive the selfish endeavors the city is considering embarking upon. How can leaders in good conscience support SpaceX, given all of the information that was presented today? How will city leaders sleep at night knowing that their actions or inactions today will determine how many more houseless people will be on the streets tomorrow? Need proof? Just look at Austin. By the way, the Ozanam Center can't hold them all. Will any of you find the strength, courage, and humanity within to stop this madness, this sickness called greed, from further destroying the place we and countless endangered species called home? How quickly we forget and become disconnected from nature and its wonder. How quickly we forget the importance of being good neighbors and stewards to the earth. The need to stand up for basic human rights like clean air and water is dire. Will you stand up for your children, your grandchildren, and future generations? Will you view other industrialized, gentrified areas of Texas as cautionary tales of what actually awaits us? You should and could be the leaders you are meant to be and break the mold. You have an opportunity, a real-life David versus Goliath moment in history to do good by the people who were here first and believed in you enough to put you in office. Please, don't sell your souls to gain the world. Please listen to your constituents. You have a chance of a lifetime to prove something and to be an example and set the example for the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lori, I think we can move on to consent agenda item number 2.
Okay, we were on public hearings.
Oh, I'm
Item
sorry.
1, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Do you want me to read it again or?
You already called the item, that's fine. I see Commander here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Leo, can you go to slide number 2? Slide number 2. Mayor, City Commission, I'm Commander James Pascal. This is an application by Mr. Antonio Moraya doing business as A&S Recovery. This is for a Class 1 record permit in order to be placed on the city record rotation list. The address for the business is 3497 Burton Drive, Lot B, here in Brownsville, Texas. Go to slide number 3. Mr. Moraya currently has one other record company on the city's record rotation list, which is Rancho Towing. Please note that the next public hearing is also from Mr. Moraya, who is adding a third record to the city rotation list. All record companies are being given a chance and are allowed to add additional companies to the record rotation list if they choose to do so. Go to slide number 4. This is an aerial photo of the business A&S Recovery. Go to slide number 5. Here's a photo of the A&S Recovery record. Go to slide number 6. The police department has conducted an inspection of the record service and will issue a permit under City Ordinance Section 110-63 pursuant to commission approval. Go to slide number 7. This is a public hearing.
Thank you, Commander. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody here on this item? Okay. Do we have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing.
We have a motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion passes. Do we have any motions on the item?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Public hearing, item number 2, public hearing and action regarding city towing rotation list application by Antonio Murayra, Thunder Towing pursuant to Chapter 110-63 of the City of Brownsville Code of Ordinance, Police Department.
Leo, can you go to slide number 2? Mayor, City Commission, this is an application again by Mr. Antonio Moraya doing business as Thunder Towing. This is for a Class 1 record permit in order to be placed on the city record rotation list. The address for the business is 3185 Southmost Road here in Brownsville, Texas. Go to slide number 3. This will be Mr. Moraya's third record on the city list. Go to slide number 4. Here's an aerial photo of the business, Thunder Towing. Go to slide number 5. Here's a photo of the record. And go to slide number 6. The police department has conducted an inspection of the record service and will issue a permit under City Ordinance Section 110-63 pursuant to City Commission approval. Go to slide number 7. This is a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Is there anybody here on this item?
Mayor, I'll
Hey.
gladly make a closed public hearing.
We have a motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Do we have any action, motions on the action item?
I'll gladly motion.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you,
Item
Commissioner.
Item 3, public hearing on first reading on ordinance number 2021-1582, supplementing and amending ordinance number 2013-1582, relating to the issuance of the City of Brownsville, Texas Utilities System Commercial Paper Notes, Series A, authorizing the amendment of the credit facility related thereto, resolving other matters incident and related to the amendment of the credit facility, including the approval, execution, and delivery of an amended reimbursement agreement, bank fee letter, and approving an offering memorandum in connection therewith, resolving other matters related. Financial Services, Brownsville Public Utilities Board.
Thank you, Lori. Mr. Bernal, is this is listed as a first reading, but is this an action item as well?
Mayor, good evening. Yes, it is an action item.
Okay. Thanks. Council, are we okay on it, the way it's put on the agenda?
Yes, hi, this is James Hernandez, bond counsel to Brownsville PUB. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, James, thank you.
Yes, and the statute under which we're operating in connection with this this authorization requires only one reading of the ordinance. So we're fine to proceed as is.
Okay.
Mayor, I disagree. All our ordinances for the city of Brownsville need 2 readings.
I'm sorry, Renee, can you say that again?
Yes, all ordinances for the city of Brownsville needs 2 readings. So we can have the initial reading today and the very next one to go on consent agenda, but we do need to have two readings.
Okay, well, as far as the readings, I'm sure you guys can figure that part out. I just want to make sure that it was put on the agenda properly and we can take some sort of action on this.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it going today. We just again need to put it again.
Okay, thanks, Renee. Who's presenting?
Mayor, this is Noe Hinojosa with the Strain Hinojosa and Company.
Welcome, Mr. Hinojosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have a group of people from PUB on the line too. Starting with Mr. Bruziak and Fernando Saenz and Miguel Perez, or Mike Perez, acting CFO of the PUB. Basically, this item is in reference to modifying an existing commercial paper program that we have in place that's been approved by the City Commission for many, many years through the tax exempt, as a tax exempt security. And what we're trying to modify is that tax exemption to be taxable, so that the purchaser of this commercial paper instrument does not declare the income on this security as a tax deduction or tax exemption. I'm sorry, and thus we need to do it in lieu of the fact that we intend to use a portion of this commercial paper program for purpose of paying off gas providers and expenses associated with the freeze that occurred back in February. Right now, the commercial paper program has about $11 million encumbered, and the intent here is to have this tool, which has been very, very practical for PUB users in the past, available to pay up to $34 million right now of that program, or of the costs associated with the February event. As you well know, none of the costs affiliated with this event have been finalized. The staff at PUB continues to negotiate and converse with ERCOT and various other providers of services, so that hopefully the impact on the system is not as significant. I will say this to you too, that the system itself has very strong reserves, and in lieu of the fact that we're still in a pretty brand new year, we felt compelled that providing this provided more flexibility with this tool, with this commercial paper program, will be a better position for the system in case another event occurs during the course of the year. So I'll stop here. I don't know, John Brusiak, if you care to make any comments, or anyone else.
No, one comment you made was 34 million. It's actually a little, we actually wanted to do 35 million because it was 34 and so, you know, some other dollars in there. It wasn't exactly 34.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the commission or the mayor?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Hinojosa, but does Mr. Hernandez, James Hernandez, wish to add anything?
No, I have nothing to add unless there's any questions from the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on this item? Okay, do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
We have a motion to close public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Do we have any motions on the item, which is a first reading of ordinance 2021-1582?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Brusiak.
Okay, we can move on to items for individual consideration. Item 1, consideration and action on the 20th amended declaration of local disaster for public health emergency, City Manager's Office.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commission. We have updated the measures. Next slide, please. The Office of the Governor of the State of Texas approved GA 34 relating to the opening of Texas response to COVID-19. He issued that order on March 10th to go in effect March 2nd to go in effect on March 10th. It states that all counties that are not in an area with high hospitalizations, currently the city of Brownsville is not experiencing high hospitalizations. Due to that, there are no COVID-19 related operating limits for businesses or other establishments. Also, while it does not mandate masks, it does state that individuals are strongly encouraged to wear facial coverings over the nose and mouth whenever it is not feasible to maintain 6 feet of social distancing from another person not in the same household. Next slide, please. Given this, there are no occupancy limitations on businesses, and therefore they are allowed to operate at 100% of the total listed occupancy of the establishment. This is allowed for restaurants and also bars or similar establishments that hold a permit from the TABC, which is Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission. Also, all establishments, as a reminder, must conduct services in strict compliance with any orders issued by the governor of the state of Texas and is required by the Texas Department of State Health Services. There is still measures with regard to disinfection and cleanliness of nursing homes and others, hospitals and specific types of medical facilities, as well as schools. So please take note of that, but we did want to identify that this is the most significant change in the measures that you'll find. And Dr. Rodriguez, I don't know if you're here and want to state anything with regard to COVID-19 here in the city of Brownsville.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, I just want to share that our positivity rate has been at over 5%, which is a really good place. We've been able to establish contact tracing. And in fact, we've been working with the state officials on now increasing the amount of cases that we're able to follow up on contact tracing in our city. And this just reflects the improving environment that we find ourselves in as we are able to vaccinate more and more individuals. We vaccinated over 10,000 individuals in Brownsville alone since February 2nd. Thank you.
Dr. Rodriguez, is that the total amount of individuals in Brownsville that have been vaccinated, right around 10,000, or do we have more? Do you know?
The number is higher, sir. I'm given the quote from our drive-throughs, but our number is much higher. I did have the county numbers as well that we normally don't include in our stats, but the numbers equate to about a 45% of total county of people vaccinated so far.
Okay, thank you. And then you mentioned positivity rate. Do we have the 7-day positivity rate? I know you mentioned, but I didn't hear a number.
So the 7-day was 5.11, and the cumulative positivity rate since the beginning has also been decreased substantially.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That concludes our presentation.
And Mayor, I would
yes.
just like to say that I'm sorry, I'm still here at work and my husband's still, Jessica. Sorry about that. I would just like to say that I've been monitoring as we all have the numbers coming in from the county, and Brownsville seems to be on a climb. Just to let people know to continue to stay vigilant of those numbers despite all of the vaccination rollouts. That's all. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Commissioner. Ms. Ramirez, I know that this order still provides for virtual meetings of the commission. What's the plan on actually starting to at least maybe look at a hybrid system or something? Because if this trend continues like we've seen over the last month or two, I think we're pretty much at the point where we may consider that. So what are your thoughts, and is there a plan in place for that?
I will defer to the city manager in terms of, I think the only thing we thought right now is to have like speak to the subcommittee of the city commission on that when they would feel comfortable coming back to in-person meetings. City manager, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Sure, Mayor, we've discussed it. In fact, Mr. Romero proposed that a few weeks ago, and what we discussed through the reopening plan is to start with a hybrid environment potentially as soon as this next meeting, if not latest early May. What we want to make sure we can do is have our enterprise applications department support the hybrid environment and also provide the discretion for the commission to decide if you want to join in person or maintain the virtual environment. And then also making sure that we can address the public side, because with vaccinations still being limited and then some members of the community still being hesitant to get a vaccine, we want to make sure we balance COVID protocols with trying to get to a higher rate of vaccination in the community. But we can certainly start hybrid. It's been discussed. It's just a matter of implementing it. I would say that within the next couple of meetings, that option will be made available.
Okay, I think we should start looking at that. All right, thanks.
I have a question, Mr. Brennan, both for actually everyone. Will the hybrid include an option that if some of us, maybe we have a sniffle or something, we don't want to go in person or something of that sort, we'd be able to still attend remotely? Or is it going to be all or nothing? I'd urge you to look at the options there so that it's not all or nothing. Either, you know, before COVID, if you weren't in town, if you were sick, you just didn't go to the meeting.
What we mean by hybrid, Commissioner, is that yes, if there's the desire to do virtual or the need because of potential symptoms, that remain available. I think if anything, virtual has given us more flexibility.
Right, I agree, and that's good.
Right, and then also we want to work out any bugs on the technology side, experimenting with us staff first versus you all, so that by the time you choose to do hybrid or not, the bugs get worked out with staff and not you all.
Okay, I know that concludes your presentation. Do we have any questions or anything else we need to ask? Okay. Do we have any motions on this item?
Make the motion
To approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 2, consideration and action to adopt the proposed thoroughfare plan, multimodal transportation, mobility.
Mayor, City Commissioners, good evening. This is Joel Garza, Multimodal Transportation Director. We have before you an interim thoroughfare plan. Next slide, please. That will assist us in continuing to make sure we have a blueprint of a city network for the city. Years ago, the city opted to use the Brownsville MPO's thoroughfare plan through their MTP, their long range transportation plan. With the merger, the MPO is no longer, the Brownsville MPO does no longer exist. And so this plan is to make sure that we continue that forecast, that future, look into the potential roadways, making sure we dedicate, preserve that right of way once folks start developing certain areas. And so that's the reason for today's agenda item, to approve this interim. And I say interim because the next phase, and it's in the next slide, please. We will have a consultant that will assist us with the mobility plan. And I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. In your package, we did include, sorry, go to the map. In your packet, we did include the proposed thoroughfare plan. It was divided into certain sections. We do have a printer version if you prefer that. It does match the Cameron County's thoroughfare plan. Staff reviewed it. Again, it helps us plan for the future, helps us preserve that right away in our interim. Next slide, please. We are looking into our mobility plan, have a component that will look into the thoroughfare plan. And so this Durford plan that you hopefully will approve today will be in the interim until we are able to get the consultant on board. Right now, we are in the RFQ process. We hope to release that sometime in May, early June. We're hoping to have the consultant on board by early August, and it will be a 12 to 14 month process. In the meantime, we do ask for approval for this Durford plan. And I can take any questions if the commission has any.
Well, the thoroughfare plan does that, and on your map, I saw the key there. It said proposed roadway collector, something else. I forget what it said. But does that take into account whether those roads are complete, some of those roads are complete streets, or is that a different document?
Correct, Commissioner. That is a completely different document. The Durford plan is only intended for either future roadways and to make sure that the right-of-way based on either a collector or arterial is kept once a developer comes in to make sure we preserve that right. The complete streets process, which will be part of the mobility plan or plan, comes back after the fact to make sure that if we have 100 feet, that we obviously look at the complete streets process where we include sidewalks and a protected bike lane, and make sure that the lanes are adequate to the area, even maybe include a transit lane, for example. And so, yes, it is a separate document than this.
But the protected right-of-way would take into account enough right-of-way to be able to accommodate complete streets, should that other document indicate that?
Yes, correct.
Okay, because I wouldn't want to protect the right-of-way and then later come back and say, well, it could have been a complete street, but we didn't protect enough right-of-way.
Yes, it is, Commissioner. And usually when we plan ahead, we don't know the caliber of streets. And so normally you always extend 30, 40 feet more than the initial intent. And so, yes, it does include the complete street process or proposed in the future.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Mr. Garza? Okay, this is an action item. Do we have any motions?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 3, consideration and action authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the management agreement contract between the City of Brownsville and First Transit Incorporated for transit management services being provided. Multimodal transportation transit.
Good evening again, Joel Garza, Multimodal Transportation Director. We have today a request to amend the current contract we have in place with First Transit. First Transit has been a tremendous help over the years. As many of you know, Ms. Norma Zamora is no longer with us. She's been promoted within the company. With that, it allowed us to restructure the contract. Where we now are asking for an assistant director or assistant general manager instead of the director. Obviously, this comes at a savings. Next slide, please. And so something that this person, which the company already hired, is going to help us out with obviously Sunday service, the pilot. What does that look like? Right now, we're doing the surveys to see what the needs of the area are. This person will also oversee the B Metro operations, will assist me in that. Now that we're going into the next phase of the East Side Transfer Station, this would be one of their projects also. They will assist with facilitating coordination between TxDOT, the counties, FTA, Federal Highway Administration. And then obviously this person will help us on the FTA requirements and reporting. And then finally, besides the person, we also have the backing of First Transit that have the experience in the industry in case we need additional service that is also provided through the contract. And so staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4, consideration and action to award contract to Republic Parking System LLC to operate and manage the public parking lot at the Brownsville, South Padre Island International Airport Department.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Sean Schroeder. I'm the Assistant Director at the airport. The Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport requested the submission of proposals from interested, experienced, and qualified operators, providers with demonstrated expertise to perform first-class comprehensive operation, maintenance, and management of parking facilities. The purpose of this change is to manage our airport parking facility effectively and efficiently by reducing risk, lowering costs through leveraging experienced companies, and also enhancing public and private partnership, and hopefully enhancing technology through additional customer service experience from the proposed vendor. Next slide, please. The benefits of the airport is obviously to opportunity to focus on core functions and repurpose our people's assets. Even as early as today, during the negotiations with Republic Parking, we spoke with them regarding offering first, I wouldn't say first right of refusal, but to offer positions through an interview process with their existing employees. The individual from Republic Parking from San Antonio, the regional director, was on site as of early as today, providing some of those interviews. It's to build upon airport improvements, which they can help leverage their experience, again, maximize efficiency on airport parking lot operations, which they are experts at, reduce airport liability, and again, leverage core services offered by the parking facilities. Next slide, please. Obviously, the operational impact would be the loss of the parking lot functions. The parking company will need staff to operate. Republic Parking, again, was on site today conducting a few interviews. They will conduct one more additional interview tomorrow morning with our additional staff. As I indicated during the negotiations, we worked that out through Republic Parking. It will provide us the opportunity to centralize the operations and maintenance manager, which he will oversee the contract, and will also provide operational improvements through outsourcing and staff provided. Our existing parking operational organization consists of 3 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, and we utilize 1 administrative staff approximately 3 hours a day to provide some additional administrative support. Next slide, please. This is somewhat of a proposed structure where you would see that the airport operations maintenance manager would oversee the parking lot facility, company's management force, and again, they are also proposing 3 full-time, 1 part-time employee, which one of the full-time employees is proposed to be a facility parking manager. Next slide, please. During the negotiations, this was proposed by Republic Parking. It was proposed as a 3-tier funding mechanism. The funding would be funded through revenue collections. The funding would be based on gross revenues received from the parking lot, and it's based on cost and revenue received. Obviously, you could see it's from $0 to $125,000. Republic Parking would cover 85% share. Airport would be 15% share. But if you go to the 3rd tier, which is greater than $225,000 in gross receipts, the airport share would be 90% of those gross receipts. Over the past several years, with the exception of this last fiscal year, we have seen our gross receipts over $220,000. So I anticipate being in that 3rd tier or very close to that third tier moving forward as our airline industry picks up. Next slide, please. The contract, as in your packet, is a 5-year contract. Primary term is for 3 years with 2 one-year options at the discretion of the city of Brownsville. And with that, the airport is recommending approval of the agreement between the city of Brownsville and Republic Parking. That wraps up my presentation, and I can answer any questions.
Mr. Schroeder, one thing I wasn't able to tell in the packet was I saw that this was a request for proposals. Did we get any responses other than Republic?
We did get one other response. The other vendor was more of a software vendor, and it was not a company that actually operates and manages a parking facility. Just an added note, this company does manage the parking lot facilities in Harlingen, as well as McAllen, as well as Corpus. So they do operate a majority of the facilities in South Texas, and the regional director is based out of San Antonio.
Thank you. Do we have any additional questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
There a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Item 5, consideration and action on resolution number 2021-028, approving a plan of finance to issue 1, general obligation refunding bonds to refund outstanding tax notes issued to finance certain airport improvements, and 2, combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation to finance the Impala Drainage Improvement Project, and a SCADA control system to be purchased by the Texas Water Development Board through its Flood Infrastructure Loan Program, and authorizing the city staff and professional advisors to prepare and distribute all documents and take all actions deemed necessary in connection with preparing for the issuance of such obligations, including the selection of underwriters and the preparation and distribution of a preliminary official statement related to the issuance of the refunding bonds. Financial services.
This is Noe Hinojosa with the Stride Hinojosa and Company. I guess item 5 encompasses 6, 7, and 8, succeeding this item. And basically, what you see there in front is on the screen is a presentation that we put together. And what this item basically reflects is taking out a 2018 note that was issued for an amount of now outstanding of about $16,800,000. What this does, by you taking out this note, you in essence finalize all the costs affiliated with the airport construction project, the local share of the project. And the way this is set up, or was set up, was to serve as a line of credit with JP Morgan, to where now we have a balance of about $16.8 million. That line of credit was closed back on February 15, and now it's time to take it out and finance it over a long term, just like we had planned. By going out, this financing will have no impact on property taxes nor sales taxes. I think we've come to you in the past with this plan. If you go quickly, City Secretary, to page 5. you will see on page 5 of this presentation, and I don't know if you can move it down to page 5, you'll see several columns, and the column in yellow on page 5 is basically taking out this loan, about 60 million eight, out to 2043. So basically, as you go from left to right, the second column from right to left, you'll see the tax rate not being impacted by virtue of this financing. That's page 4. If you could go to the next page. There you go. So basically, on that page, you'll see what's being contemplated in this action, and that is to sell. It contemplates a payment of about $95,000 in 21, and then when from 22 through 43, the payments will be at about
Mr. Hinojosa, you're cutting out.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so you won't see my face, so that's fine. But I think as you can hear me, basically on that column yellow, that shows you this refunding bond. That will be an open market transaction. The next column, the green column, those are the bonds, and there are 2 loans being sold to the Ward of Elmwood, and basically that is affiliated or it will be for drainage infrastructure funds. This is literally the first loans being funded by the Texas Water Development Board, and they have a 0% interest rate. Unlike the refunding that you see on page on the previous column, we anticipate that interest rate to be at a 357. And we actually think that rate is going to be closer more to 285 to 295, but it takes a few days to prepare for that sale. But the loans for the Water Development Board, they were approved by the board, I think 3 weeks ago, and they carry a 0% loan, a 0% interest rate. And on top of that loan, you're going to have some grants approved by them of about another $5,535,000. So in essence, the Water Development Board loans plus the grants, you're going to have about $13.1 million for drainage improvements. And I can't tell you enough. Your staff did a heck of a job securing those loans and those grants at those rates. It's just the right thing to have done for the city, and you can't say enough. The other, the airport project, as you all know, you should be proud of it, is done and completed, and this pretty much closes the chapter on that book. At the end of the day, when you look at this spreadsheet, you'll see that the tax rate does not go anywhere. Very much on our favor is the fact that we have had low interest rates that have been working on your side. So I'll stop right here and entertain questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa. Does anybody have any questions?
Is this a motion to acknowledge or approve?
This is a motion to approve. It's item number 5, Commissioner. But Mr. Hinojosa presented basically for 5, 6, and 7, and actually 8 as well, right? I'm sorry, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sorry. So this is action on item number 6.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. And a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor?
Yes.
I believe that was action on item number 5.
Yeah, include the 5, 6, 7, 8.
My apologies. Correct. Right.
Correct.
Item number 5. Sorry about that.
I'll make the motion to approve number 5.
We have a motion and a second on item number 5. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 6, consideration and action on ordinance number 2021-1681, authorizing the issuance of up to $17,200,000 in principal amount of City of Brownsville, Texas, general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021 AMT, authorizing the execution of a deposit letter, a paying agent/registrar agreement, a purchase contract, and other instruments and procedures related thereto, delegating authority to certain city officials to approve all final terms of the bonds, approving an official statement, and calling certain obligations for redemption, financial services.
Mr. Hinojosa, do you have anything else to add for this item?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, do we have any motions?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 7, consideration and action on resolution number 2021-027, authorizing publication of notice of intention to issue combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation to finance a supervisory control and data acquisition control system, SCADA Financial Services.
Mr. Hinojosa, that was a pretty comprehensive presentation, right? Do you have anything else on 7?
No, sir. That's Water Board authorization to proceed.
Okay, very good.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 8, consideration and action on resolution number 2021-026, authorizing the approval and execution of grant agreements with the Texas Water Development Board and escrow agreements with a financial institution serving as the escrow agent in connection with the receipt of grant and loan funds from the Texas Water Development Board to finance certain flood projects and approving other matters related thereto, Financial Services Department.
Okay, do we have any motions on this?
The motion to approve, Mayor.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item 10, consideration and action for the approval of an updated personnel policy manual, organizational development, and human resources. Mayor, I believe per Mr. Bernal, they were possibly going to be asking for this item to be tabled.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. We're proposing a workshop go first before we delve into this item.
Okay, very good.
Next meeting.
I'll make the motion to table.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, that item will be tabled.
Okay, our next item is executive session. I'll read the item and then you can make the motion. Item 1, closed session pursuant to section 551.087 subsection 1 of the Texas Government Code regarding commercial or financial information that the city of Brownsville has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the city, and with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations, and to deliberate financial or other incentives to the same regarding project founder, city manager's office.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we will recess to executive session.
It is now 6:41 PM and the city commission will go into executive session.
Executive session, there is no action for anything in executive session. The next item is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
No motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. See you later. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
There being no further business to come before the city commission, upon duly made motion, the meeting adjourned at 6:57 PM.